How's everybody doing?
Good. Good.
Dan, assuming you guys take a kicker here with the next pick, what do you see from Cade York and what he can give you guys at that position going forward?
Sure, yeah. Am I good to just roll here? Okay. Yeah, really excited to add Cade, to our roster here. Cade is really a consensus player across the organization between personnel, research, scouting. Very talented young player with a strong leg. A player we got very familiar with through the evaluation process here this spring. Saw him kick on multiple occasions, and really feel good about adding him to the roster. Hopefully solidifying the position going forward, and looking forward to seeing what he can do and get him out there on the field.
When we talked to Perry and Winfrey, his energy just jumped over the phone. I'm sure you guys thought the same thing.
Yeah. Perrion is a extremely passionate guy. I think you guys are going to love him. I think the dog pound is going to love him. He is a high energy player all day who loves football, and we're really excited to add him to the room, to the roster, to see him out there practice every day. To me, I had the opportunity to see him practice this year at Oklahoma. Practices pretty early in the morning. He was the first guy out there getting ready. You can feel his energy through the entire practice. I think anybody that was at the Senior Bowl would have seen the energy that he brings, daily and then in the game. Obviously, had a great game. So really looking forward to adding him to the room and seeing what he can do.
You never know what other teams are going to do. When you guys make that trade last night, were you guys thinking York at 124?
I really think we kind of look to see where we're at on the board. We typically have a handful of players that we would consider taking at certain spots. And then, AB touched on it last night. We spend most of the day on the phone, fielding calls, seeing where we should go up and down, depending who's available. Our pro scouting staff does a great job putting together team needs. So, we do our best research as we can to, try to make the odds as favorable as we can to, pick players that we think will be available, when we get to those picks. But, again, AB touches on it. We're always looking to move either up or down depending what opportunity is available.
So you thought he was going to go in this round? The kicker?
Okay. You never know. I mean, we know there's a lot of teams that were interested in kickers through this process. Again, the round thing is really fluid year to year. We're excited to add him because of the talent we think he brings to the room, regardless of, what number pick we took him at here. So, very excited.
How much did the performance of McPherson in the playoffs convince you guys to use the pick on the kicker in the next draft?
That's a great question, Tony. I would say, every kicker is different. Every position player is different year to year. Evan McPherson's a really good player. We're going to see him in the division for a long time, obviously. But Cade, we kind of evaluate each player as an individual and what they can bring to the Cleveland Browns. And again, through our process, this was a high consensus player that we were really excited to add.
How do you evaluate when he kicks in the south, warmer weather, and then you've got Cleveland?
Yeah, it's obviously a difficult place to kick here. I think, a lot of kickers around the league, all come from different weather environments. They all, come from different parts of the country. Really, we're judging the talent that we see. We're judging the makeup of the player across all positions. Kicker, obviously, the environment does create certain circumstances that can be difficult, depending where you kick. But Cade's a guy that we like his mental makeup. I think that's a big part of it. And we really like, his overall talent level for kicking in an outdoor city.
One of the insiders reported that the Browns were going to take McPherson last year. Is there a truth to that?
Just like most kickers that I can't comment on the round where we would have taken a player. Through the draft process, we thought Evan was very talented. And again, we look at each scenario, each pick really as its own situation. And it kind of comes down to who's available on the board at certain spots and what we're willing to do. So, again, really excited to add Cade with this pick. Okay.
What is it about Winfrey's game that you like, and were you surprised that he was still on the board when he was?
Oh, man. I'll start with his game. Love his game. Perrion, again, is a guy that is a great scheme fit for us as far as coming off the ball. He plays with violence. He plays with quickness, speed, power. He's an up-the-field penetrating type of player as a 3 technique, which is, again, a difficult skill set to find. He was a 2-year starter at Oklahoma, and you saw his game grow as his career there continued. And, him fitting into our system again, have great faith in our staff here to continue to work to develop him. And his skill set is something that we truly do look for in that spot. So as far as him being available, I mean, again, every spot's different. Everybody's board's different. We got pretty familiar with him through the process, through the spring. Loved what he did at the Senior Bowl against the best competition you're going to see him go against. And, really kind of checked those boxes as we went. So, again, addressing the board this morning and kind of resetting things as Andrew talks about, we felt really good about it if he was there. So.
When we talked to Mike Prefer in the spring, like he brought up, when you're evaluating kickers, so much of it is the mental aspect of the game more so than maybe other positions. I guess what stood out about Cade in that regard, and how do you guys kind of go about that process?
Sure. Yeah. Pref obviously spent a good amount of time with him in the process, so eventually you guys will get to talk to him about what he saw. But in general, it's kind of the combination of talent with the mental makeup. This is a guy that kicked in a lot of big games at LSU for a high-powered program. Where really every game is a huge game down there every week, and made a lot of kicks. And when you combine that with the talent, again, something we were really excited to pick here. So.
Like each year, he hit from beyond 50, 55 yards, which is pretty impressive for a college kicker. The unique environment, though, of kicking here in Cleveland, First Energy Stadium, is not the easiest place to deal with. So. I guess when you're evaluating a college kicker, how do you throw in those intangibles that he's going to have to deal with here as far as fit?
Sure. Again, I would go back to kind of the mental makeup of the player. You really never know until you get into a stadium and you see how the wind feels at the stadium. You get used to kicking there. Our guys go down there, during the season. During the off season and do a good amount of kicking there just to get used to that. But again, when you're projecting players to the NFL, you're looking for specific traits and a specific makeup, and when those things combine to make up what you think will be a pretty good player, you're excited to pick him here. So.
Dan, both Phil Dawson and Jim Nagy told me this recently, that most teams just rely exclusively on their special teams coach to scout a kicker. Mm-hmm. Was that the case with you guys?
No, this is, again, everything we kind of do here in our evaluation process is, it comes back to 3 things. It comes back to the coaching staff, comes back to our scouting staff, and comes back to our football research department here. And again, Cade was a guy across the organization here that everybody felt great about, this entire process. So again, very excited to add him. I think that started, with our area scouts doing a great job this fall, seeing him live multiple times. Coach Prefer getting a chance to see him kick a couple times, and spending the time and putting in the resources to get to know Cade. So.
Does it change your strategy offensively when you have such a big-legged kicker like that? Obviously, he made that 57-yarder in that huge game. And what does that do to your offensive strategy?
Yeah, to be honest with you, Mary Kay, that'd be a great question for Kevin. As far as game management-wise, I'm not going to put any words in his mouth there. But yeah, I mean, it certainly gives you a level of comfort knowing that, hey, you have a guy that can hit from long range. I think everybody, feels good about that. Yeah, I mean, Cade's a very talented guy, and we'll see where it goes in the fall. But looking forward to seeing him get a chance to kick in our stadium. It's going to be fun.
Well, it's just a piece of it, but you mentioned it a few times. Is there anything that you learned about Perrion that you didn't already know through that process? And was it something that elevated him all, that he was had a good week down there, was MVP? Sure.
Yeah, I would say when evaluating Perrion, again, you saw all the traits on tape. That part was great. And again, you saw him improve over his time in Oklahoma. The Senior Bowl is always a great opportunity. Jim Nagy does a great job getting the best talent in the country there. So your next question is, okay, is he going to continue to improve and ascend in that environment, which, we thought he did a great job down there, had a really good week. Again, I was fortunate that I got a chance to see him practice this fall, and you can feel him on the practice field. And then as soon as you get to the Senior Bowl, he's a guy that you can see his teammates kind of rally around him. He was the energy guy on their team. Those are all things that we're looking to add intangibly whenever we can with a player. It's a nice addition to a guy with a really quality skill set for our scheme and for our system and for the building in general. So.
When I read about him, it said he had to go to junior college because he wasn't academically ready to go to a four-year school. But talking to him, he seemed like a pretty sharp guy. Did you get that?
Yeah, I think you guys are going to love talking to him. Like I said, his energy is something that you feel all the way. There's a number of players that come into college football every year and come into the National Football League that went the junior college route initially. Got to know him through the process, and we feel really good about adding him to the room. So.
Mentioned that he felt the sweet spot, as he put it, of this draft was in these middle rounds, and it obviously with the moves that you guys made seemed to reflect that.
Yeah.
Just from your perspective, what did you see as far as the strength was in the middle of these rounds where you guys felt like adding some extra picks there would really help you out?
Sure. I mean, obviously this was a unique year not picking in the first round. So when you really tried to go through all of our situational planning work that we put a couple weeks into before the draft, you really kind of come away working through different situations, and you work through a number of what ifs and trade scenarios, and hey, where should we be looking to acquire more picks? And there's always a fine line, and you're always going to get great conversation around, do you sit and pick a player here, or do we try to move back and increase our odds of getting two players we really like here at a slightly later spot in the draft, or acquiring future picks? So it really comes down to, I know you guys probably get sick of us saying that, but every pick really does come down to a unique situation, who's available, and the opportunities that are presented to us through making trade calls and doing our due diligence to work up and down the board and make sure we feel comfortable. So.
Is anything different or easier upstairs now that you guys have finally been together for a third year and know each other better with all the change that's happened here?
Yeah, I honestly don't feel like anything's different the last couple of years. Our coaching staff does an absolutely phenomenal job in this process. Our scouts do a phenomenal job in this process, and it's great, that we've, been able to come together physically this year. But really, like, the challenge of, a new staff coming together in the middle of a pandemic, everybody checked those boxes as we went 2 years ago. Last year was great through the process, and then this year, it's nice to have everybody back in the building and being able to work together in person. But again, I can't compliment our staff enough for the work they put into this process. And again, our entire college scouting staff is on the road all year away from their families. It's what they do, what they're passionate about. And then, our football research group is, again, spread out. Some are in the building, some are, spread out throughout the country, and everybody coming together and working together on the process is phenomenal to watch. And then, when it all comes together and we're all really excited about the guys we get to add this weekend, you feel pretty good about it. So.
And the last one here, the way Oklahoma used Winfrey, used a nose.
Is it any harder to kind of project him as a three technique, or is he just such a kind of a classic three technique in your eyes that you think that's not even a stretch to think of him that way?
Yeah, it's funny. The way they used him is like, and you speak with their coaching staff, like he's an upfield penetrator all day. If you can put that guy over the center, you can put him over a guard, and you're really trying to, cut the defense in half, or cut the offense in half, I should say. And his skill set is, fun to watch. Again, I think he fits, projecting him to a true three-tech spot here is, really the overall skill set that we're looking for in that spot. But, you can play him at one technique, and he's going to get off the ball, and he's going to chase and play hard, and you're going to get all the same production and traits you see.
Back in the day, defensive line coaches, I guess I'm thinking of Tim Cromer, I used to line up across from prospects, and would you dare not do that with Perrion?
I'm not getting in front of him, I can tell you that. He'd break me in half, but I don't even think I'd be able to get my hands on him at this point, to be honest. But no, you guys are going to love watching Perrion practice. Again, this is a guy I think the Dog Pound is going to absolutely love. like you guys are going to see it every day out there practice. You're going to be able to feel him, and hopefully he will continue to develop and turn into a really good football player for us and help us win games.